What I go feel like every morning.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the Tomb of the Terrible. And I am your UncleNecRo. As always, tonight I am joined by Raz T Slasher, Friday in Chaos, Pyle Hazard, and Ron. And tonight we're... I am just very pleased as punch to tell you that tonight's movie is the 1993 movie Freaked. You may not have heard of this movie. Not a lot of people have. But the movie goes, Embattled Corporation, Everything Except Shoes, or EES, hires celebrity Ricky Coogan to serve as its spokesperson amid a spate of reports that the company uses a toxic substance in its products it actually manufactures. Ricky travels to South America to dispel the rumors, but instead he stumbles upon an oddball amusement park run by the demented Elijah C. Skuggs. It turns out that Skuggs is using the substance in EES products to turn humans into grotesque mutants. This movie, let me bring up the Wikipedia article if it's to be trusted. It was originally conceived as a low-budget horror film featuring the band Butthole Surfers. It went through a number of rewrites, eventually developing into a black comedy set within a sideshow, which was picked up by 20th Century Fox for a feature film. And after several poor test screenings and a change in studio executives who then found the film a little too weird, the film was pulled from a wide distribution except for Australia and Japan, and only played in 2 screens in the United States. Its budget was $12 million. And the box office was just above 29,000. So, Raz, I know you've seen this many, many times. What was your first impression upon seeing this movie?
The first time I saw this movie, I was a child. It had been out for probably less than a year when I saw it on complete accident.
Okay.
I was completely enamored with it, man. Like, it started off as the whole talk show angle that it kind of has. They tell their story. Like, I thought my mom was watching like Geraldo or something, or some talk show when I came in and sat down and started watching the movie. And then it became a movie, and I could not stop watching it. I was literally on the floor in front of our big wooden console TV, just like this. I did not speak. I did not move. I did not laugh, nothing, until that movie was over. And then it still took like 20 minutes probably for me to digest at least everything that I saw. And then it quickly became one of my favorite movies of all time. And my mom bought it for me on VHS that year. And I wore it out probably more than a dozen times. And to this day, I still watch it at minimum 1 time a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things ever made.
I'm not... Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this did not get a DVD release.
I think it was retranslated and re put out on DVD over the years because it was.
Okay.
I'll double check, but I think it did.
Okay.
I have
Yeah,
the
yeah,
DVD cover.
yeah. It got
Okay,
DVD
okay.
and Blu-ray re-releases.
Okay. Well, the early 90s were a weird time, people. I lived through it. Most people think of this as the rise of grunge and bands like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and everything. And no, there was a weird side that was populated by, say, this little band called Green Jelly came around. Gwar became, they were popular before, but they really exploded in the 90s. And let's not forget Pee-wee's Playhouse. I got a strong vibe from that, like a really, really weird, twisted, dark version of Pee-wee's Playhouse in this movie. But Jenny, was this? You said you've seen this many times yourself. When did you start first see this?
Probably about the same time Raz did, a year after it came out.
Okay.
Usually that's when they started putting it on movie channels. And then I also watched it just about any time it came on the TV. And probably I think we had our own VHS as well. And I saw it a few times that way as well.
You see, this was my first time watching it. I've heard about it. It was legendary in the underground. It was always talked about. I've just never been able to see it. It's on YouTube streaming right now. Is probably the only way you can actually see it without. I don't know how much it goes for on eBay for a copy of the VHS or the DVD or whatnot. But yeah, this is my first time watching it. I'm thinking, how did this go under my radar? Because
I'm surprised it did, to be honest with you.
Because again, I've heard of it, but I was never able to see it. And I grew up with, my staying overnight. My grandparents, they had Cinemax, which, opened me up to a lot of underground B movies. But Pyle, have you seen this before?
I have encountered it once before.
Okay.
And I totally forgot I even watched it until rewatching it, and then I'm like, I remember this. Don't remember why, don't remember when, don't remember who thought it would be a great idea to watch it, but yeah, I enjoyed it a second time.
Oh wow. Okay. Ron, have you seen this before?
I did not remember it, but then after seeing that it had Alex Winter and Randy Quaid, it sparked something in my memory that tells me I had seen it before in the early 2000s. I vaguely recall it, but for the life of me, after watching it this time, I could not remember the movie. So I don't think it made that big of an imprint on me, although I was fairly certain I had seen it before.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Getting into the meat of this, Alex Winter, you might remember him as one part of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey, and also as one of the vampires in the classic The Lost Boys. Randy Quaid, knowing what we know now of him, I was wondering if he was just method acting at this point.
Honestly,
Because essentially it's your basic story. It's a horror comedy, very, very strong on the satire, I think. Hey, down dog. But just beginning to watch this, there were enough jokes in there. I sometimes had to pause and rewind and go, did I hear that right? Because during the interview portion, before they start going into the big story, Brooke Shields plays the interviewer at the beginning, and she asks, what movie you were watching? Oh, Return to Blue Lagoon. Oh, I heard that sucks. Okay. Funny, because she was one of the original stars of the first Blue Lagoon, not the sequel. So, Raz,
Yes, sir.
you want to? You probably have a lot more information than I do right now, but there
Well,
are
I mean,
questions.
for example, did you know that Keanu Reeves was in this movie and was paid $1 million and was uncredited?
Really? No.
He played Ortiz the dog boy. That was Keanu Reeves.
That was Keanu Reeves.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my
It was
gosh.
completely uncredited because he felt that his role in the movie, it would be overshadowed and people would just think it was like another Bill and Ted type thing, which they did have a lot of problems with the first viewing. The teenage audience thought it was going to be another Bill and Ted and grievously complained throughout the viewing. So they thought
Wow.
by not showing his face or mentioning his attachment, that would solve that problem going further. So they
Wow.
he's completely uncredited in the role.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Do you remember what name they used for that character? Was it a different name or?
It was just an uncredited role. It wasn't even credited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when it got to the end credits, I just kind of fast forward to the list of the music that was in there because the soundtrack is fantastic.
Just banging, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have the list here of who is on the soundtrack, and Henry Rollins does the theme song with Blind Idiot God. The Butthole Surfers do the song Butter Queen, and at the end credits, Parliament Funkadelic.
Yep.
Wacky. I mean, not since PCU has Parliament Funkadelic really come in handy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, I am astonished that this movie has had slipped through my attention. I believe I put on the message board that this is the greatest movie that no one ever saw, and knowing that two movie screens was showing at two movie screens, that explains everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, Raz, you had
there was
Mr. T.
Yeah, with Mr. T on the set. He was going through a pretty tough time in his life actually when they were filming this movie, and he agreed to do the movie. And he actually had a miniature nervous breakdown on set towards the end. They had 3 days left to film, and he had to leave. He just literally left the production. He left. He poofed, and they had to hire a stand-in. Specifically in one of the cage shots during the battle between Huge Stewie and Ricky, Mr. T was unavailable, so they actually just kind of used a stand-in and had Lee Ironberg do the voiceover for him.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was a weird issue with that. There was some minor issues also with Brooke Shields. She really wanted to do the film, but it was like kind of an odd time for her. And many audience test members were not happy that she was in the film, including at one point during the initial viewing of the film, someone actually screamed out "fuck you, bitch" when it showed her on the screen. Yeah, like dead serious.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
So there was issues with some of the marketing and stuff, which she did a decent job, you know.
Yeah.
Another weird thing is that the original producer of this film was fired for making too many weird films. Yet the studio still went forward with this movie with a new producer.
What kind of weird films are we talking about?
I'm not entirely sure on that because I cannot find the name of who the original producer was supposed to have been. It's something that Alex Winter's talked a lot about. I think he's maybe said the first name or something like maybe once or twice, but he just says the original producer. And I also think maybe that original producer didn't want his name out there that he got fired, before making the movie.
Yeah, the original producer was Tim Burton. Because this looks like a fever dream he would have had.
Yeah.
Especially when they get to the actual freak show park, the giant head. And should we bring up the eyeballs?
Man,
Jamaican eyeballs.
those Jamaican eyeballs are nuts. But that entire set that you see, though, when you go to the area where Randy Quaid is, The entire fucking thing was actually based on a series of actual sideshow attractions all across America, predominantly odd things that you would see up and down Route 66. So they took a lot of that inspiration when they made the whole set for that, which definitely comes across with the big signs and the lights and the weird sideshow attraction vibe.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, a lot of the set, they did pay attention to a lot of the set, let me tell you. I mean, jokes aside, like some of the stylistic choices they went, obviously somebody had to have been a big fan of Doctor Who, because the Freak Shack, it's bigger on the inside. We've used Bob Villa then Bob Villa shows up immediately. I think that was Bob Villa, but
Or look-alike.
I think
couple of
it's a look
times.
like.
But there's also like when he first tries to make an escape dressing like the Milkman, he's taken to Randy Quaid's house, which looks all dilapidated and about to fall down from the outside, but inside it's your typical suburban, 1980s style, really nice interior decoration. Which, okay, that's funny. Pyle, you wanted to say something about the Hollywood squares?
I always enjoyed the Hollywood squares.
Yes.
And they have a beautiful reference to this in this movie. And the center square that everybody always wants to get is a skeleton.
Is Paul Lynde.
The way that entire thing was played, just absolutely, I thought it was hilarious. I was laughing my head off. My daughter came running in and said, "What are you laughing at?" And I said, "Watch this." And she looked at me and she goes, "It's not the poop monster." And walked away.
It was a great way to introduce all the other freaks that were in the movie.
Right.
But Braz, you're saying that Nicholas Cohn played Bob Villa?
Yep. He played sort of a. They were making fun of Bob Vila and couldn't get Bob Vila. Obviously, they didn't even try, so they just had one of their own people pretend to be him.
It would have been awesome if they did, though. It would have been awesome for Bob Vila.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I have a sense of humor too. But oh my gosh! But yeah, the Hollywood Squares thing is, and that had to be. I don't know if who was the voice of the cow, the cowboy, the literal cowboy.
I just saw this. Let's see here.
I just had this pulled up for that.
Yeah.
It wasn't Slim Pickens himself, was it?
I'm trying to remember. Let's see here, Kevin.
I feel like he was.
The cowboy was John Hawkes.
John Hawkes. Okay. Hollywood Squares dates it.
And if you don't know John Hawkes, he did stuff in Deadwood and the remake of the Deadwood movie in 2019. Most recently, he's been in True Detective, Marvel's Wastelanders. He plays Doom. It's a podcast. He does a lot of different stuff, like all across the board.
Okay.
It's one of those guys whose faces you know or voices you'll recognize, but you can't quite remember his name.
Okay. Another question I had about that cowboy character, and was clearly a cowboy, but later on in the movie, they're getting milk from him.
He's still a cow.
Which is utterly impossible unless he's a girl. See what I did there?
Yep.
We'll just move
did.
on. Ron, you had a comment about the Hollywood Squares thing.
Well, I think that for us older generations that remember when Hollywood Squares was on TV, that's funny. It's a good bit to do, especially to introduce some of the other characters that are in the movie, and then the call back to Paul Lynde, who obviously was a regular on the Hollywood Squares, and the fact that they made him a skeleton because he's dead. But I think this movie came out in '93. I don't even think Hollywood Squares was still on at that time. So young people coming into this movie, are they even going to know what Hollywood Squares was?
Oh, they got the Google.
Actually,
They can look it up.
It was still in syndication then. The initial run ended in '89, but it got brought back after an additional round of syndication, but not until '98. So it was an in-between spot, for Hollywood Squares.
Huh.
So it happened during that time where it was not on the air, but it came back again later.
Megan Ward is the know of Jaden's mom's name.
Huh?
Would you like to expound on that, Pyle?
Megan Ward is Jaden's mom's name.
His
So
son.
I threw something in there wrong. But Megan played Julie in this, and I was looking up the roster, and I was like, why does that name sound so familiar? That's right.
That's hilarious. Your son's
That's why
name
that's why I put side note. We didn't need to mention that.
That's okay.
Oh, sorry. Well, the more you know. Well, moderators be moderated. But like, did anybody else have any, particular thoughts about the movie?
I want to point out, though, while there was a script, a good chunk of what ended up in the can that we saw was improv, because they got on there with the script, they followed the basic directions, but a lot of the dialogue kind of got thrown out as they went along, and like the cast worked so well together that it was so easy to take the main point of what their dialogue was and just improv sections. Like there are multiple sequences throughout that movie that are just entirely just improv based on the love and the camaraderie that was on set. It was almost flawless, they said. Mm-hmm. And the way they filmed the entire movie is indicative of the way they used to film movies back in the 50s and 60s. It had a very similar vibe and style, especially like the more bizarro films of those ages. But it's kind of a pinnacle in filmmaking, honestly, which seems weird for such a low budget, fucked up indie movie. But back then, that budget was not considered that low budget, and the people that made their practical effects, man, and it was all practical again back then. It was a big deal. The person that did their effects, hold on one second, I just had this up, and for some reason I can tell you that the makeup and prosthetics were all nominated for Saturn Awards. And that one, Kevin Mack, he actually won an Academy Award for visual effects later in his career, and that was one of the early films that he worked on. So much came out of just the set designs, everything. Like this movie had, by all accounts, this movie should have been much larger than it was because of the way everything was done and built and the people that were in the film. But it was a complete box office failure, 100% failure. That's why it had the limited release after early screening. They give it the early release thinking, oh, it'll catch on when it goes to, straight to video, like everything was doing. And it didn't at first. And it wasn't until about 2003, 2004, for the freak resurgence that happened all over again, that turned it into the cult classic that it is right now. And it is considered one of the most important pop culture icons in terms of cult classic films.
Oh. Ron, you had something to say about Bobcat?
For those that aren't familiar with Bobcat Goldthwait, stand-up comedian known for the character voice that he did. Most people probably know him from the Police Academy movies. He played one of the street thugs turned police officer in, I think, the second movie, something like that. I just thought it was so completely random that he shows up like twice in the movie. He has no particular role except for just giving some exposition. Hi, James.
How that happened?
I have no idea how that happened. It wasn't me this time. I didn't touch
Back.
anything.
Dude,
So he has no role other than just exposition, and then he just disappears, and that's it. He's done with the movie. But when you see him, you know his voice. It's like a guest appearance. He has no purpose in the movie other than just giving some exposition, and that's it. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah,
Well, didn't he play the sock puppet
he did.
mutant? Yeah.
He played a sock puppet, which is something I wanted to bring up because I actually had a conversation with Alex Winters when I was designing the Freak Show for Hell's Dungeon, and I had asked him just for permission if I could put a big nod to the film in the Freak Show. Now, my original design was sort of similar to his makeup, just slightly understated, but with the personality of Randy Quaid's character. That was the original J.B. Rotten thing we put together. And I'd gotten permission from it. He just wanted a set photo to see what knot I was going to put in. And I want to show you guys the prop we built. You'll see my sock guy right over there. Rob built him for me at the Haunt. Rob Baker, love Rob. And Alex actually put that on some of his social media at the time. It was the summer right before we opened that year with the Freak Show. So if that doesn't tell you how much this movie meant to me. And that sock puppet will forever remain there. But Bobcat doing the voice was great. And Ron was right. He got really big with Police Academy, Citizens on Patrol. And then he did the movie Hot to Trot with him and the Talking Horse. And then is known for making one of the best ever Bigfoot-based found footage films to ever exist. Because he became a director and producer after he stopped acting. And he's legendary in the found footage film world, oddly enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Pyle, you something about the board on the string?
I really like it. How do you get everybody to agree? You make them all look like they're all drugged up, and you pull the lever, and they all take a vote.
That's right. Okay, the board of directors doing the
Puppets.
okay.
And it was funny. Let's take a vote.
The board on the string. I was thinking of a board of wood, put on a string. I'm like, where was that in the movie? Oh, okay. The Weekend at Burning of the. Okay, so Jenny, you have a favorite freak there?
Oh, I was wondering if everybody had a favorite freak, because the movie had so many different personalities.
Oh yeah. We'll start with Raz.
It's the sock. Hands down. Okay. And the funny thing about the sock is when they pull the sock off, there's a hand underneath it.
Yeah.
So he's actually just got a hand for a head. He just wears the sock. But that angers everybody. I don't know why. Yeah, it just pissed everybody. Like, oh my God, it was revealed. You're just a hand. You're not a sock. You're a fake. No, I have a thing with sock puppets. I have my entire life. And that character was probably the birth of my obsession with sock puppets. Friday, do you have a favorite one?
Probably Randy Quaid's character. The character itself. That was, I don't know why, but he was just, I usually like most of the weird characters he plays.
The shitter's full.
Chaos.
I'd probably have to go with Raz with Sock Boy.
It was never my thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Was that jelly or ketchup? That was anyway. And
his name was Sockhead, by the way. I just looked it up so I can remember.
I really liked Worm. I don't know why. I just really like that Worm. He just and he didn't get a turn back. He's the only one that stayed a freak because he didn't like the food that they put it in.
He didn't like macaroons.
Yep, that's what it was.
Could you wipe my butt, please?
The whole time.
It's just the thing he misses the most. Ron, did you have a favorite?
I did. I thought the worm was funny, but it reminded me a lot of Pink Floyd The Wall, which I thought was kind of hilarious. Now I'm wondering if Ortiz, the dog boy, might be my favorite just because I'm finding out that it was actually Keanu Reeves. I think that's quite interesting. I'd have to go, I don't know, with either the cow or Mr. T for reasons. For the cowboy, I keep wanting to see in my head, like when the big fight breaks out, I wanted to see the cow doing kung fu, like in Kung Pao Enter the Fist. I really wanted to see the cow doing kung fu because that would have been hilarious. And
Firing off milk shots.
Yeah, I think both of these movies came out around the same time. I'm fairly certain Kung Pao came out around the same time. But for Mr. T, I liked his character just because he's still Mr. T, but it's kind of a side that you would never normally see, the more effeminate side and the hair care and all of that. And it just adds a new aspect to his personality that he would agree to play a character like that. And I really like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh my
Raz.
Sorry, but it's valid.
That's true.
Keanu Reeves plays a movie where he's a dog character, but in John Wick, his fucking dog gets murdered, and that's like the entire plot of all the movies, his dog.
Right.
And I'm wondering if that was an homage to his band Dog Star. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Could be.
Kung Pao actually came out in 2002.
Yes.
But they do have similar vibes. I feel you on that. They have very similar vibes.
It might have been just that I saw both of the movies around the same time.
Yep.
If you're hearing us right now talk about this movie and you're kind of on the fence, believe me, everything we talked about is barely scratching the surface because we're talking about like the actual freak shows that they put on in there. Like there's a scene where Mr. T plays the bearded lady and his performance is he's giving beauty tips to everybody and people are like taking notes and just and you know there's this kid who is like the main character's soulmate, I guess, and he's going around trying to, and there's a sequence where he's going to various publications that we must save him, and he's always tossed out of the glass door. And the very last place that actually takes the story, he's like, no, I can find my way out, and he throws himself out the actual door. It's freaking hilarious. And yeah, the first 3 minutes, Pyle, you want to take that?
So one of our people on here, I told her right. Yeah, guess which one. Anyway, one of our wonderful co-host on here, Dell, is usually on here, and I gave her a warning. The first 3 minutes, if you have seizures, skip the first 3 minutes because it is a mind twist. And I started watching this as soon as we got done watching the last movie and we figured out that this is what we were going to watch. I started watching this, and the first thing I said was, first 3 minutes, I would go through 3 in 10 seconds just to get you completely away from that entry, because the twisting of the colors, the different textures that are all twisting in this first 3 minutes, it actually was making my eyes hurt. But it was really cool to watch. Just sample.
It was claymation too. Like it was fucking claymation, man. It was amazing. But yeah, and Henry Rollins and Blind Idiot God also did music on that, on the intro.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it was a great intro, really well made. But yeah, if you have friends or if yourself have epilepsy or anything that could trigger that, either skip the first 3 minutes and go, skip past the intro. Just be warned that is in there. But we've come to the part now where we want to give our recommendations and the overall rating, starting over here with Raz, because he's on my left or right, or however you want to look at it. Raz, what do you give this, and would you recommend it to people?
Because of the extreme attention to detail, the masterful creation of every piece of the set, the looks, the makeup, the soundtrack, which by the way also included Butthole Surfers, because we forgot to mention that.
No, I mentioned him.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I missed that
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
This is one of the rare movies that I will actually give a perfect score to. Right down to it seems like a gross offensive movie on the surface, but there is a lot of stuff layered in the script and the dialogue about the shape that the film business was in during that time, politics, world, everything. And also the American value, the American dream, because that's what Alex Winter's character represented, was the typical American dream scenario where he's this, this rich, well-to-do actor, and that's just the dream everybody has, and how absolutely absurd, like realistically, that is, and how that can go wrong, and how your attitude can change, everything like that. But I give it a 10 out of 10, man. A 10 out of 10. Whatever we want to give it today. I'll go back to tires. 10 out of 10 tires.
Okay. Do you recommend it for people?
I recommend it to everyone. We built a prop for it in the haunt that I tell people about. So I literally tell everybody about this movie, and I'm surprised that more people that I know that aren't into a lot of B stuff have actually seen this movie than I expect. So it's the opposite for me today, where I find out so many people didn't remember it or were watching it for the first time, when a lot of people I know that aren't really into that kind of stuff tend to have at least seen it or heard of it. You know what I mean? So I recommend the fuck out of this movie to everybody.
Okay, Jenny.
It was interesting because Josh and I put it on, and then even Jim comes out of his room and looks at the TV. It's like, this looks familiar. So I found out we all had seen it before, and I'd seen it so many times, and I do agree with Raz. It's one of those things where it's supposed to draw your attention to what's actually happening, but put a funny spin on it. And I love all the details. They put so many details in. They put so much love into the costumes. They put so much love into the characters. And it's just a really great movie. I love it. I've probably watched it so many times as a kid. And then due to way too many deaths, I forgot about it until recently. And then I'm like, why haven't I shown this to them before? But yeah, definitely. It's one of those few where I'm like, yeah, I agree. It's a 10 out of 10 chainsaws. And I'm glad it's something that Josh had seen before, and it's something we could have talked about while we were watching it.
Yes. So, Josh?
I really enjoyed the movie. I think the last time I saw it was, thinking back on it, was about 96. So it was a few years after it came out. But just the amount of really good actors in it. And going back to the intro thing, I thought it was funny how you were saying it was about 3 minutes long. I wound up caught myself timing it, and it was exactly to the second 3 minutes long.
Wow.
Right.
There you go.
I'd also have to say 10 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. And do you recommend others to watch it?
Yes.
Okay. With a passion, like, are you going to be standing out in the corner with a placard that says, "Watch Freaked" or "Die"? Or something like that. Anyway,
Maybe.
Pyle. Maybe. Pyle.
So
Let's see it.
I will tell you, that this is going to be the highest score that I've scored anything. And I gave it a 9.5 off the wonderful streak mark. And I'll tell you, it is really wonderful. It is great. The reason it's just not a 10 is just because, you know, that first 3 minutes was really hard for my eyeballs to handle. It was great. I loved it. And the clay animation in it and watching all the faces and this and that, it's just, that was a little too much. And if they would have backed that down just a hair, I think that would have been amazing. But I've already sent this movie, as soon as I got done watching it, I sent it to so many friends and I said, watch the first 3 minutes, just watch out for the first 3 minutes. And then once you get past the first 3 minutes, just watch it. I know you're going to look at me later on and go, what the heck did I watch? But you got to understand, this is like something that you really never seen except for this. I mean, I always remembered seeing a picture of this rat that had like bulging eyes that was driving a rat car. And this is the movie that always made me think of it.
Okay. So you've actually physically sent copies of the movies
I have
to other
since
people.
It's,
wow.
Since it's on YouTube, I
well, yeah,
click,
but
copy, paste, click.
you must
copy,
watch
paste.
this. You must watch this, Pastor. But yes. But Ron, what are your thoughts?
Since Tomb of the Terrible is supposed to be all about the bad movies that nobody wants to watch, I was expecting the worst, but this movie is certainly not as bad as I was expecting it to be. In fact, it's not bad at all, and I'm surprised that it's on Tomb of the Terrible. It's a great fucking movie. I really enjoyed it. It is filmed like a trauma movie or a gore video, same kind of psychedelic colors, same kind of lighting, camera angles, the special effects with his freak makeup and squirting out pus everywhere. There's a lot of visual gags. There's a lot of quippy dialogue. There's a lot of jokes just spread throughout this movie. There's a lot of callbacks to jokes spread throughout this movie. It's just incredible writing. They got a lot of big name actors who certainly didn't need to do a movie like this. And it's one of those kind of movies that it could be bad for their careers, but then they look back on it and it's a lot of fun. So it's really not, which makes me wonder, people have been sleeping on this movie. If it cost $12 million to make and they only got $29,000 out of it, people are sleeping on this movie. It needs to be watched more because I think now so much time has passed. This movie needs a comeback. I really think this movie needs a comeback. People just pick it up again. I really think it could be more popular the second time around now that people are more in tune with these kind of movies and quirky comedy movies and weird makeup and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to have to go with Raz on this one, and I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 just because I thought it was a kick-ass movie. I love that kind of comedy. It reminds me of Weird Al, UHF, that kind of comedy, or maybe Airplane with Leslie Nielsen. It's sort of slapstick, sort of cerebral comedy. It's fucking great.
Wow. So far we've got the consensus has been this is either the perfect or near perfect movie. I believe, let's see, it was Destroy All Neighbors that is the one that is the kind of the spiritual follow-up.
It's a weird spiritual thing because Alex Winters did not, he co-directed and starred in Freaked. But with this one and Destroy All Neighbors, he acts in it. He's actually one of the actors in it in such heavy makeup that you'll never know it's him, ever. I'll be surprised if you can point out which one is him. There's that much makeup. But he teamed up with Thomas Lennon from Reno 911 in the State and Jonah from Mystery Science Theater 3000, the current ones. So
Wow.
like this was kind of like a kind of an all-star cast of fucked up comedy, but they took a lot of the inspirations for a lot of the makeup, props, and setting stuff all from Freak, and even did some consults with the people that helped with Freak. So like if you like Freak and want something a little bit more modern, go to Shudder, or Shudder on AMC Plus is the way to do it. But it's out in a lot of places. It's actually a great movie, and it's playing also as part of a traveling festival along with Freak, Lost Boys, and a couple of other Alex Winners, framed films. Because when he does a lot of these little, it's basically a tour that he does on and off. Even the Bill and Ted movies, like some of them will play at it. And he just travels literally all over the world, playing this selection of movies to either remind people that they're out there and generate more interest and love, and also when he does the new project, he adds that in as well.
Wow. Hashtag give us money, Shudder.
Yeah, and I think it's on Doom because it only made $29,000 out of $23 million, and was labeled as such a terrible, terrible flop that all the love it gets is literally in the cult world.
Well, the question remains: who was the one that labeled it a flop? The corporation?
Corporation, reviewers, actually people that went and saw the movie when it was in theater, like in its limited theater releases, all the testing, screen testing, all of that combined is what made it one of the biggest flops that studio had ever. Well, to date, it was just about the biggest flop it had had.
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know, but it's good to see that Alex Winters is actually continuing doing what he loves.
Yeah.
And the fact that Keanu Reeves still is willing to do stuff with him, especially after
4, man.
Yeah,
they're talking about it right now.
But as for me, I'm going to have to, mind you, a lot of the best shows are when we have the disagreements as far as the quality of the movie, or whenever Ron has a massive rant about certain haunted dolls that will remain nameless. But I'm going to have to agree. This is getting... I don't like using decimal points in my rating systems. So this is going to have to go with a 10 out of 10.
Did you say you agree? Because
I agree. Here's the thing. I went in this not knowing what to expect. I expected weirdness, and from outside secondhand reports, I was expecting an utter shit show. Just kind of watching, not exactly Lamageddon levels, but something more akin to
Monster.
Okay, yeah,
Good shit. So
it's good shit. Yes, but okay. As you mentioned, the script was fantastic. It was subversive in that it was a satirical swipe at the corporations and the politics and everything that was going on in the early 90s. I remember that period quite vividly. I lived through it. But it also had some fantastic practical effects and lighting, and also the absurdist comedy aspect was in there. Everybody was firing on all cylinders as far as the actors went. And there were so many layers to this. I was not expecting that this is going right up there with like UHF or UHF. As
Alice in Wonderland by Guar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking, Raz.
Yep. I thought it might be, yeah.
But this, well, I'll say it's not perfect. It's very near perfect. And I think the fact that it bombed the way it was because the studios had no idea what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so sure, it was shown on 2 screens as it was reported. How many underground theaters were doing like midnight showings? I'm wondering. Or yeah, this thing needs a revival and
A sequel.
should be shown a sequel. I'm just astounded. I was watching this going, this is as I mentioned, the greatest movie no one ever saw. And it makes me sad and happy at the same time, because now I can have that sense of hipster. I'm better than you because I've seen this and you didn't. But that's what we do. And yes, I agree, Ron. This is not a terrible movie whatsoever. I don't even know who was the one who put it on the list. It wasn't on my. It was Raz. Okay, thank you, Raz.
You're welcome.
We love you more for it. So.
Did I redeem myself with Winter Beast and Rubber, or?
Well, Rubber was great.
I love
Winter Beast.
Was a tough one.
Would be the opposite of what this movie was. Okay.
Well, I offset Winter Beast finally. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
So, all right. So I do have 5-star reviews here, people. Let me bring this up. Amazon actually has, from selling the VHS from Josh, everyone should see this movie. I've been looking for this movie for a decade since I saw it in an art house theater. I couldn't believe I found a copy that will actually play and didn't cost a fortune. The sound quality isn't the greatest, so be prepared to crank the volume way up to on your TV to hear the dialogue. Kind of what I had to do with the VHS, with the YouTube rip. But
that was only fixed for Blu-ray, by the way. That's the only version you get that has the audio fixed.
I did have to watch it with the subtitles on just to see what they were saying. So let's see. Those who ignore this film will stand knee deep in the blood of their children.
I love that.
Despite being one of the most overlooked and unpromoted films upon its release in 1993, most of the cult following for Freak never saw the film until much later. This hysterical debut feature from Tom Stern and Alex Winter began life with plenty of promise, a funny script, 2 talented up-and-coming comedy directors, great ensemble cast, plenty of shock value, and even cross-promotion merchandising. Hideous mutant freaks action figures made their way to stores before the film's title was changed and are now considered valuable collector's items. Let's get on eBay, see what we're doing. But however, the film was shoveled into obscurity thanks to a change in the corporate leadership of 20th Century Fox. That explains everything. Now a Disney corporation. Little fanfare, yada, yada, yada. I can't believe I found it. I remembered a piece of this movie from childhood, and a friend on Facebook posted it, and I had to have it. It is as amazing as I remembered. Nostalgia at its finest. The last one I'm reading, Get Freaky. Of course. For me, Freaked is one of those movies you see once and can never forget it. The first time I saw this, it was the summer of 1994. I was 8 years old, and my parents still had HBO at the time. Years wanting it finally culminated in purchasing it on Amazon earlier this year. After 17 years, I finally got to see it again. I still enjoy it a lot. So,
I found
this
the action
movie,
figure.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they anything like the movie?
Oh yeah. They only made some of them known, so we can't see. Well, they're hard to get images of too. I'll throw some up at the end.
Okay. But are we ready for the wheel? Yes, no.
Sure. Wheel of morality. Turn, turn, turn.
Is Mr. T now a Disney princess?
I forgot
Yes.
the wheel. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get it up.
You're fine.
Okay.
I just uploaded a picture. Now these are in some bags. They're a little bit hard to see, but that's what they look like. Those are the ones. I think they might have done more than that, but I see the dog boy, I see the cowboy, the conjoined twins, and Alex Winter's character. But you can buy that, and that set of them is $2,000.
Whoa!
Because that is apparently the set. They only did they only did those.
Wow.
And that is Dogboy, yeah. But yeah, that is the full set that they made, and it's yep, 2,000
if
or best
this-
offer. But you can get the
if
cow
this-
for just like $100.
If this movie was made in the 1980s, it would have had its own TV show, like
Yeah.
cartoon, like
Dude,
they did with Toxic Avenger.
Right
yeah, I was
after
gonna say Toxic Adventures, the cartoon came out, and it was fucking an awesome cartoon, and it got a Sega game, but free.
Yeah.
Who had a higher budget and was better all around. Although I love me some Toxie, was a failure.
It just and the milkman, yes. It's just 12 milkmen on the same route, plausible. 13, too much. So, how are we doing on the wheel?
Yes, we are doing the wheel. It's just I have to find the right wheel.
Got different copies of the wheel, yeah.
I hope the next movie is just as great as this one was.
Yeah.
Don't bet on it.
Yeah. This was a rare gem, I think, we're going to find where, like, we all gave it damn near perfect or perfect scores. And we all agreed, like, this is a rare episode that should be marked. It's rare.
Well, the last one was pretty good, too. It was just Italian.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it
fair.
was decent. It wasn't
I mean,
Freak, though.
No,
Sure.
it wasn't. There was a snow globe.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, fun.
Howdy from Texas.
Once again, you come in right at the very end of the show, my friend.
Yes.
We're about to spin our wheel to see what movie we're going to be doing in 2 weeks. But go watch Freaked if you haven't seen it. Consider it a personal recommendation here. But go watch it.
Should we spin a wheel to figure out which wheel we should spin?
The Wheel of Wheels.
Yes.
Yes,
A
we
wheel
should
within
spin
a
the
wheel.
Wheels.
Wheel of
Wheel.
Misfortune. That's what this is, the Wheel of Misfortune in many cases.
I like the wheel of morality. Turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lessons that we should learn.
I would like to buy a vowel, please.
These shows brought to you by the letter fuck you. The letter fuck you.
I'd like to buy a Vanna, please.
Yeah, no
I'm
kidding.
not finding it in my history, and it should be on the history of the 15th.
Oh, no.
That is the problem.
Talk
Yeah,
amongst yourselves.
This is very true on the notifications from YouTube. They're not fantastic sometimes, and they're out of date. Sometimes I will get a notification 24 hours after something I wanted to be notified happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Same
the rule of
breath.
thumb with us. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention that Facebook is really bad at that, too, because I get notifications of, hey, this is happening soon, and it was like a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I could have been part of it, but no.
This is one of the reasons why we keep all our shows starting at the same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, because there's so many issues with notifications and people knowing to watch. So we just made all of our shows start at one time, and we're on most days of the week. This week is 4 days of the week. The off weeks are 5 days of the week. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Always something going on.
While she's doing that, Raz, why don't you tell us what shows we got coming up this week?
I would if I knew the answer to that question. I'm joking. Wednesday, we have a wrestling show, Mats and Monsters. We're doing some shifting to Wednesdays, so you're going to actually, for the first time, get 2 Mats and Monsters back-to-back this weekend and next week. We are, again, going to be talking about a lot of the wrestlers that Matt identified on the road to the next pay-per-view coming up on the 4th. But we're also doing the official draft, WWE style, for our federation, which I think it encompasses somewhere around 150 wrestlers. So me, Steven, and Matt are getting our own show, like a SmackDown, Raw, NXT sort of thing. And the 3 of us are getting together and drafting from our roster list over the next 2 weeks, along with our normal wrestling conversations. And then after that, we'll be back to doing color commentary for matches and things like that. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Thursday, we have the SCP side of our Allied Adventures Gaming. That's me and Matt and Jenny playing weird characters that work for the SCP, finding strange creatures all over the U.S. It's more of a modern setting. We love that game. We're pretty excited for it. And that's actually it, because this is one of our light weeks until Sunday. And honestly, for the life of me, I know we have a show Sunday. Which one it is, I've completely forgotten because my brain is toast.
You're talking about Sunday the 5th?
Yeah.
TCIS.
That's what it is every Sunday. Thank Cthulhu, it's Sunday. I don't even know if we have a normal... I know we're going to be on Sunday. I just don't know which show it's going to be yet. It may end up having to be... It may end up being Had Itself for all I know. No idea.
I'm still learning some of this stuff on here.
Yeah. And this Saturday, you can find me in Gallipolis, Ohio, or also, Gallipolis, Ohio, for the final boss convention. I will be setting up at a table there, selling my books for the very first time at a convention. So I'll also be covering a lot of behind the scenes things and doing some vendor and guest interviews where we can over there. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's only $7 to get in. So if you're over there, and it's right kind of on the Ohio-West Virginia border. So if you happen to be over in that area, definitely stop by, come see me. I'll have some things to give out to you. I'll be selling books, stickers, buttons, all kinds of weird shit. Really excited about
sell
that.
rolls of tape?
I might. And then the next day, you can catch me wandering around over by the Mothman Museum, because we're going to see the night down there and then go hang out. I'm finally going to get to see everything Mothman, which I'm very excited about.
Go putter golfing. It's open.
Jen, you had something to say?
So, my picker wheel has decided to delete the alternate wheel, and Dell has that saved on her computer because she's the original one that made it. So my picker wheel decided to keep the Legends one and delete the other one. And I don't know why.
Technology.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I have it here, and then I open it up, and it's changed. And I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. What we can do is we can go ahead and end the show tonight. We can do the wheel at a later time and just post that video of what we actually came on to when we're able to do that. We've done it before. So otherwise, let's go ahead and Raz, where can we find you?
You can find me at RazTSlasher.com. Just type my name into search engine. You can find me on all social medias, where Jenny will be pretending to be me, and she's the #1 Raz cosplayer in the U.S., so she will handle you quite well. And also, every morning at your mother's house, I'm there for the pancakes.
And if you were a sideshow freak, what sideshow freak would you be?
I would. Oh man, I've already done that. I'm the half reptile guy that is a complete asshole. That's JB Rotten. That's my character for the Haunt for 2 years.
Okay, Jenny, where can we find you? And if you were a sideshow freak, which sideshow freak would you be?
Wow. Oddly enough, I put some thought into that one. I'm everywhere. I'm at Fakor. I'm at Owlite. I'm apparently hiding at the Dorkening. I'm on Friday with the Library in the Blue Box, and I even have an author page, Jennifer Elliott. And I would be the bearded lady.
Okay, Josh, same question.
Find her, and I am the bearded walking corpse.
Okay. Pyle, where can we find you, and what sideshow freak are you?
So you can find me here on the Owlite Network. Every other Friday, you can find me here doing Chainer's Haunted Secrets. You can find me on Facebook, Pyle Hazard. And you can find me on TikTok unless it disappears. And what kind of freak show? I would want to be a lizard man.
Again with the lizard man.
I
the tongue?
want a forked tongue. It is the tongue.
Okay.
I like to go, I'm a snag. Slippery little snag.
Yes. You want a hiff? Okay. So, Ron, where can we find you, and what sideshow freak would you be?
You can find me on my author page on Facebook, Ronald W Gillespie Jr. -author. I am also on TikTok, though I haven't made any videos lately. I do primarily martial arts content, so if you're into that sort of thing, you can look up my channel on TikTok. It's at Wolf Dojo, and you'll find me and all my martial arts content. If I were a sideshow freak, what would I be? In fact, I have already done this. I played a sideshow freak character when I was acting for the Scaratorium, and we had our freak show as one of our scenes, and I was the Neanderthal man. I do actually have a picture of this, which I'm unable to share.
Okay. And I remain, as always, your humble servant, Uncle Necro. You can find me on the Owl Night Network, various blogs, podcasting, writing. I'm getting my first story published here in a couple of months. And you can also find me outside yelling at clouds, especially the big scary ones here on Friday. Oh my gosh. But as far as what sideshow freak would I be, I would probably be that duck person you find at the end of the original movie Freaks from 1923.
Todd Browning's Freaks. Great movie.
Oh, yes. So, till next time, seek help.